are on Facebook Live.
Okay.
And
Me. Share a watch party. It's always a difficult dilemma. I'm just going to share this one.
okay.
I'll do a watch party later. Hey, Facebook Live.
All right. You about ready?
Mm-hmm.
Stand by.
I didn't know if you were going to do the intro music or not. But good morning. Good morning. This is Franz Borkhardt with the Geaux Rouge Show. Master Controls, Brian Haldane. And for today, Brian's going to also be a guest of the show. So producing, guesting, just Haldane.
Sorry about that. I didn't put the intro in your ears.
It's okay. It's okay. You'll fix it later. Or not. It'll just be a bad episode. Welcome to the Geaux Rouge.
We can start over if you want.
Let's start. Can we start over? Let's start over. Facebook Live, we're going to start over. This is raw. This is what raw production looks like, guys.
I'm also killing your mic.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Geaux Rouge Show. You are either listening on Facebook Live or on Talk 107.3. Welcome. You're always welcome. We've got Brian Haldane behind Master Controls. We've got a special episode today, Brian. Today we're going to be talking to Bridget Tate from Capital City Lighting about a new philanthropy initiative in Baton Rouge to help first responders called Lighting the Way. And then the second part of our show, or the rest of our show, will be folks from Guaranty Media coming on, talking, sharing about what Guaranty Media is doing to help in the COVID-19 crisis. Getting a little bit of relief on Friday. Phase 1 is starting, so we're very excited about that. Before we jump into the show, though, let's talk about our sponsors. We would not be able to have the Geaux Rouge Show without these folks. The Geaux Rouge Show is brought to you by the following. Smith, Shanklin, and Sosa Personal Injury Law Firm, my favorite personal injury law firm in Baton Rouge. These guys, whether it's business interruption claims or just a straight personal injury claim, these guys are the kind of lawyers you want on your team. Breck Parks, man, I'm excited about being able to go back to Parks, man. Breck has some great facilities. Breck, Louisiana Tech Park, the Borkhardt Law Firm, and Sullivan's Steakhouse. So that being said, let's jump on in, Brian. Let's get Bridget on. Bridget Tate.
Good morning.
Hey, girl, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on and talk about something I am not only excited about, but excited to be working with you and Laura Sue and Amy and others on this new project. So let me set up the landscape here.
Okay.
So you know me well enough to know that I occasionally have crazy ideas. I'm an idea guy, right? So I emailed Bridget and Laura with this idea about doing light bulbs, blue light bulbs for first responders. And why in the world would I email Bridget for this? Well, Bridget owns Capital City Lighting.
Yes.
And so we have been working, and we launched yesterday a new initiative called Lighting the Way. Tell us all about it, Bridget.
Okay, so yes, Brian had this great idea, and we jumped on it, and Laura and I just started brainstorming. So with this initiative, you can purchase blue light bulbs to change out your existing bulbs in your exterior, and just to show your support by lighting up the city with a glow of blue. All proceeds from this will go to Baton Rouge Emergency Aid Coalition, and they are going to use those funds and earmark them for Scrub Grub, which feeds hospital workers in our community.
Hey, Bridget, what's Scrub Hub? What is that?
So Scrub Grub is a national movement, but here in Baton Rouge, your funds will go to our city, and it supports local restaurants by buying food, and they identify restaurants that are working in a safe way. Hopefully everyone is, but they do, make sure that they're making sure their workers are not sick and their food prep is good. And then they in turn are supporting hospital workers by feeding them.
Awesome.
Which is always a welcome idea.
So the bulbs are $5. You can purchase 2 candelabra candles or 1 medium-sized bulb for the outside exterior. I'm going to purchase a whole bunch of bulbs and turn the Borkart Law Firm into a blue light special.
You could do inside too. But,
yeah. So what is the website if you want to get a bulb? If Brian wants to order a bulb right now, where would Brian Haldane go?
lightingthewaybr.com.
lightingthewaybr.com. Super simple, guys. Order a blue light bulb. Help out the community, the first responders, the frontliners. And we are going to schedule a pickup, and which we will put on the website. We'll schedule a pickup at La Divina. I'm going to talk to La Divina and see if I can get some goodies if you order a bulb. But man, for $5, all the proceeds are going to help Baton Rouge Emergency Aid Coalition's Scrub Grub initiative. Bridget, thank you so much, and Laura for helping do this. I'm just an idea guy. I'm not the doer. You're the doer.
Thank you, and I want to thank Amy with Clover Creative.
You stole my thunder. I was about to say the very cool when you go to that website, guys, and you see the very cool logo. Amy, Clover Creative did the logo for free. Thank you. Shout out to Amy. Man, this is just a good little project. And it's not complicated. There's not a lot of moving parts to it. So get your blue light bulb. Bridget Tate, Capital City Lighting. Thank you so much for being on the Geaux Rouge radio show, and we'll definitely have you back. This is Bridget's second appearance, by the way, Brian. She is a baby cake. She is a baby cake. Have a great day, Bridget.
Thank you. You too.
So we slipped that in. We slipped that in because we launched the Lighting the Way initiative yesterday. The press release went out this morning, and so we wanted to get that on the air. I definitely would encourage the listeners out there to grab a blue bulb. I'll probably buy a bundle of them and give them away. It's just a simple way that we can symbolically respect and appreciate those people out there who are doing the Lord's work on this COVID-19 crisis. Now, changing gears a little bit. So Guaranty Media, the pantheon of Guaranty Media stars, the constellation. We got a lot of good folks in Guaranty Media doing a lot of different things. And so the rest of the show, we're going to have some of those people on to honor them and also to talk about what Guaranty Media is doing to help or did to help during this COVID-19 crisis. So our first guest, one of my favorite folks on Eagle 98.1, I know that's hard to believe it's not Richard Condon, but in fact, it's Michelle. Michelle, how's it going?
Good, Franz. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for being on the show. Go ahead.
I can't believe I beat out Richard on something.
Let me tell you something. Don't tell him I said that, but you're my number one compared to Richard. So listen. So jumping in, for those who don't know Michelle, shame on you. She is one of the best hosts on 98.1. Host is the word I'm going to use. Radio personality is a term that some people use. But you really stepped up, Michelle. When the COVID-19 crisis started, you really stepped up. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the things you did to kind of give back. And look, let me say this. Michelle, like Brian Haldane, probably like Gordy Rush, these are folks that don't like bragging about the stuff they do. So I get to brag about what they're doing. So it's not Michelle bragging, it's me bragging about Michelle. So let's jump in. What was the biggest, and I already know the answer to this, Michelle, but what do you view as the biggest thing you did once this crisis started?
Well, I don't know about the biggest thing, but one of the first things that we did was our Facebook group.
Right.
This was right from the very beginning, and it was just it seems so simple, but it was something that thousands of people jumped on board with right away. And it was just kind of a way, especially there, within that first 3 weeks, that we could all get together and talk about Baton Rouge area businesses affected by COVID-19. And I mean, it just turned into a big support group, and we were really. So
this group is on Facebook, right?
Yes, it's on Facebook. Baton Rouge area businesses affected by COVID-19.
Right.
And just this past weekend, we had a really popular post of businesses advertising things they were doing for Mother's Day or items they were making, food and whatnot. It just became a really valuable resource for the community to get together and chat.
So one of the biggest parts of being a part of a community is the ability to have fellowship and camaraderie with shared experiences. And while we cannot physically be around each other, what I thought was really nice about the group was the ability to be able to check on people, to hear what was going on, to hear struggles sometimes, to hear questions that people maybe were afraid to ask, but were being asked. And look, how many people are on this now? Or businesses?
Let me.
You got a lot.
Within the first 3 weeks, I know that we had about 7,200 members, and we're just over 7,500 right now. We've had to get a little tighter on moderating it because these groups can get out of control, but still, it's an excellent resource for not only businesses in the Baton Rouge community, but consumers as well. And the fellowship and camaraderie, like you were talking about, it's been so important during this difficult time, as I hate saying.
well, and look, the next topic I want to jump into is what I have tried to do, and I haven't always been successful at it. What I've tried to do is be positive. Okay. Yeah. Even to the point of people resenting me for being positive, and that's something I want to talk about, because you modified your show, right? You transitioned from in studio to home studio, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So talk a little bit about that process, and talk a little bit about what your goal was, because I watched you out in your backyard. I watched you in your makeshift studio. Talk a little bit about that process, Michelle, and talk a little bit about what your goals were when you started doing that.
Well, my entire philosophy on the air has always been, in general, to smile no matter what, to be a comforting voice on the radio.
Right.
With this going on, I changed the name of my show from Southern Rock to Southern Comfort, from the comfort of my home, and just kind of, I'm here to, and people were telling me, they enjoyed listening to me because I was a positive voice, but I was still getting the news out, and people responded really well to that. They still need to be informed, but not scared and not sad, because this is sad enough as it is,
So that's a tough balance, right? And I've talked to Brian Haldane about. By the way, Brian Haldane's here. Say hello to Michelle, Brian.
Hey, Michelle, miss you.
So
hi, Brian, miss you.
So we've talked about the difficulty of, wanting to inform people, but it getting to the point where you're just like, man, I can only talk about so many different facets of COVID-19 and the coronavirus before I just want to bang my head against the wall. And, Brian, God bless Brian. Brian's doing 2 hours in the morning, and he was doing some time in the afternoon with Condon as well. Well, Condon was in the morning too. but it's difficult to walk that tightrope of being informative, being positive, being I'm going to use the word entertaining because that's part of the goal too, right? And by the way, folks, I'm going to throw this out here. Michelle, again, humble, good human being. Michelle just won an amazing award, right, Brian? What was that award?
LAB's Personality of the Year.
So you're already look. So you got that going for you, Michelle. So look, I will tell you. I was one of the guys watching your backyard Southern Comfort, and I definitely was watching, the makeshift studio, and I was envious of your makeshift studio because I on the other hand have been doing radio, in the studio by myself, talking to people on the phone, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. But I got to tell you, I really like the fact that you stepped up in an amazing way because candidly, look, it's difficult to be positive, right? It's difficult to be positive with all the stuff that's going on, and you seem to be able to do it. I mean, like you said, with a smile. So here's my question: What is the plan for you? We're entering phase 1 on Friday. What's the plan for you? How long do you think you're going to be doing the at home recording versus when are you going to move back into Eagle and the studio? And then kind of what are you gonna do with the group?
Well, the latter is a good question, but first I just wanted to say that I happen to have a studio at my house to begin with because I do voiceover work on the side, and so that aspect of it made me incredibly lucky and to work from home. And with regards to staying positive, and I look at that the way I look at not having a political opinion. I mean, as a music DJ on the radio, here's what's going on, and not just say how I feel about it. And that really helps the middle of the road, staying positive, not, oh, this is bad, or, oh, they're trying to do this, and that always staying that course. People respond really well to that. As far as for the group, I mean, I guess we'll just have to see what unfolds from here. Obviously, I believe that Baton Rouge area businesses will continue to be affected by COVID-19 for, quite a long time. So the next phase, I believe, is since we're moving into phase 1 on Friday, how is your business going to proceed?
That's an exceptionally good idea. I think that's the way to, and candidly, I think that's the new conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of keeping up with that. Where can I go? Where a table's going to be 10 feet apart? Who's going to be having plastic utensils? Because the consumers want to know that they are going to a place where they can be healthy, and businesses have the next challenge of making sure their audience, their customers are comfortable.
So, it's interesting you talked about kind of the DJ role of not really choosing a side one way or another, because it's in my day job. For those who don't know, I'm an attorney and I do legal commentary, and the reason I love doing legal commentary, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's legislature, whether it's criminal justice, the reason I enjoy doing it is I don't have to pick a side. Oftentimes I get hired to be on a side, but when you're just kind of being in the seat of neutrality and saying this is what I think the law is, people still get, now by the way, people still get mad at you because they think that you're picking a side, even though you're like, no, this is what the law is. So, all right. So Guaranty Media, let me say this. I'm going to make it a personal goal, Brian. In the first part of the show today, Michelle, we were talking about Lighting the Way, a new initiative that we're working on. Geaux Rouge is partnering.
Yeah, I saw that. Before I knew I was doing this interview today, so I checked out your Facebook page.
I appreciate you.
I think that is a really, really fabulous idea. I've got 2 coach lights in front of my house. I think that would be perfect.
I'm excited, and I was going to say, first of all, thank you for following and supporting the Geaux Rouge page.
Of course,
I definitely appreciate it. But I'll tell you, one of the things I'm going to try to do, Geaux Rouge is going to sponsor probably a bundle of bulbs that I'm going to deliver to Guaranty Media, and hopefully, while I don't get to control the lighting utilities here, I'm going to try to get some of those blue bulbs installed in certain places to possibly give a little bit of positivity. But look, let me say this, Michelle. If you didn't know Michelle before, Michelle, tell the folks out there, and we're on, look, guys, we're on Talk 107.3, which is not the Eagle. If you want to listen to you, Michelle, when and how would people listen to you right now?
Sure. I am on the air on Eagle 98.1 between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. I'm on from 2 to 6 on Sunday. And the philosophy of my show is everything to rock your face off. Right. You know, not only the music, but a smile in between. I take my position as an afternoon drive slot on Eagle very seriously. Very proud to have landed such an awesome gig, and every day go on the air and try to give it 110%. Because if you're going to listen to me, might as well give you something that I've prepared for.
Well, sister, you're giving 200%, and we appreciate what you're doing. You are certainly one of the, as I said in the intro, the constellation of Guaranty Media folks that are doing some great stuff for the community. Michelle, have a great day. Michelle from Eagle 98.1. Definitely one last time before we let you go, Michelle, the name of the group again, in case somebody wants to get on there immediately.
Yeah, it's Baton Rouge area businesses affected by COVID-19, hosted by Guaranty Media.
Great group, great resource. Michelle, have a great day.
Thanks, Franz, for having me on.
No problem. So, that was Michelle from Eagle 98.1. In the remaining time of our first segment, we're going to have what I like to call Conversations with Brian Haldane.
Well, I'm going to derail it right here because
okay,
I need to brag on Michelle as well. Her desk downstairs, her desk is 2 desks away from mine, right? And I have to be here. I've been here 12, 13 hours a day since this thing started. But that's I can't work remotely because the way
it just wouldn't work.
The nature of news talk is different. So
right.
I'm in the building. What I can tell you is every single day, every time I pass Michelle's desk, regardless of time of day, her computer's alive, which means she's dialed in from home nonstop. It would be very easy to just look around the building and see who's here and see who's not and then determine who's working and who's not. No, that girl is grinding like you wouldn't believe. She might be the hardest working person in this building, hands down.
So, and it's not just that she's grinding. It's that she's producing a positive product. And look, I've been harping on this so lately. It's easy to get angry. It's easy to be depressed. These are all, it's the trauma of what's going on is justified, right? Nobody's going to say shame on you for being angry, depressed, upset that your business is not going the way it needs to be going right now. But I got to tell you, man, people like Michelle that are working hard to produce positive content that helps people feel better is just an amazing thing. So in our time left in the first segment, guys, let's talk a little bit about how you can have better access to Geaux Rouge. Second half of the show, by the way, we're going to have Brian Haldane and Gordy Rush on. But in the meantime, if you want to connect with Geaux Rouge, you can go to www.GauxRouge.com. That's GauxRouge.com, Geaux, GauxRouge.com. And we post vlogs, we post interviews, we post the radio show. We have connections to our Instagram and our social media. Definitely check us out on Facebook if you haven't done so already. And most importantly, one of the big things we're trying to push right now is we're trying to get our YouTube numbers up. So go to the Geaux Rouge channel on YouTube. We're trying to get those numbers up. I want Jada Cody numbers. I want Brian Haldane numbers. I don't Franz Borchardt numbers are weak. We need to be strong. The good thing about YouTube is any interview we do, any radio show that we do, I put them on the YouTube channel, and so they're accessible. You can watch them on demand. Look, that's about it for this first segment of the Geaux Rouge Show. Stick around on Facebook Live. We'll be doing some stuff, and stick around also because we got Brian Haldane and Gordy Rush in our second half. I like it. I appreciate you letting me start that thing over.
Oh, it's no problem.
Look, he's wearing a blazer. He's wearing a blazer.
Oh, come on. This is Geaux Rouge.
Well, I'm disappointed, frankly, that you're not wearing your hat.
What's that?
It's all right. Some people have hats. Some don't. What do you think What do you think this is the? What do you think this is the brand? What do you think this is the brand?
Which one, here?
Right there, bud. And so Brian is actually going to host this segment in the little. I don't know how you would characterize that. You're always
a guest online, huh?
You're always. Dude, we just had Michelle from Eagle 98.1 on. Dude, I am. Let me tell you something. I will we're on Facebook Live still, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to say this candidly. I'm not an Eagle 98.1 guy, although I do like rock. And because of everything that's going on, my opinion of Michelle and that channel has exponentially increased. And I love watching what she's doing. The group that she's coordinating is incredibly helpful. And man, look, just staying positive right now is
no question.
Yeah. So guys, we got Gordy Rush. Gordy, wave. We got Brian Haldane. That's okay, Brian.
I've been here the whole time. It's not
like
I just walked in.
It's okay. It's all right. What bump music are you going to use in the second?
I don't know. Do you have a request?
Shoot to Thrill, AC/DC. That's AC/DC.
I'm good with that.
AC/DC's generally, or
I've always been partial to Rush.
Do like Rush.
Always been a Rush 38 special. No relation. Just like the music. Tom Sawyer. Kerry Von Erich used to come to Tom Sawyer.
It's a long song, though.
It is a long song.
It is a very long song.
It is. Yeah, you kind of tune out. Just got a little tune out factor. Who's winning this Team Franz Team Haldane challenge?
I don't have the heart.
Posting.
I don't have the heart to tell Brian, but I've lost 50 pounds. but in fairness to Brian,
yes,
I'm going to give Brian some wiggle room because Brian has been living the unhealthy lifestyle that comes with working long, 15, 18-hour days. So, yeah.
Although I've seen he's walked past a lot of pizza. I mean,
it's
we
tough,
get all
man.
the free food. And we've had a lot of people deliver food, and we're very thankful for that. I've seen him walk by and do a lot of fasting, so I will give him that.
Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Stand by.
All right, second half of the Geaux Rouge Show, Shooting to Thrill, a little AC/DC. Thank you, Brian. So in this half, we're continuing the Guaranty Media Love Fest by having Gordy Rush, Brian Haldane in studio. We're gonna jump into a conversation of sorts. I call it Tuesdays with Brian, but the thing is this, and I told this to Brian Haldane, Gordy. Nobody knows. I mean, in Guarantee world, in radio world, people know Brian,
sure,
right? But what I've often said is, man, nobody knows Brian's backstory. Nobody knows what's going on with Brian there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Brian Haldane, what's he been up to. But before we do that, let's thank the sponsors so that I can keep doing the Geaux Rouge Show. The sponsors of the Geaux Rouge Show are as follows: Sullivan's Steakhouse, the Borkart Law Firm, Louisiana Tech Park, Breck. Man, I'm going to say it again, Brian. I'm excited about going to some parks. I got a 4-year-old who needs to go and run and frolic and do the monkey bars and all that stuff. So I'm excited about Breck opening back up. And last but not least, the Smith Shanklin Sosa Law Firm. Again, as I said in the first half, if you've got business interruption claims, these are your go-to personal injury law firms. These guys are not billboarders. These guys are really, really good civil attorneys, and I definitely highly recommend them. So that all being said, okay, so let's set the scene. Brian, what is your official title? This is where I revert to attorney mode, and I ask questions I already know the answers to. What is your official role or title with Talk 107.3 and Guarantee Media?
It's the official title's threefold. It's
okay.
Morning show host, assistant program director, and news director.
Okay. So what is that? Let's just jump into that. Let's unpack that a little bit. What does that mean?
All duties deemed applicable by management. No, it means I host the morning show from 6 to 8.
Right,
I guess I could add midday host now. Since that is still off and running.
So for those who don't know, Brian Haldane is now doing a midday show from 11 to 1. In fact, I got to be a guest on Brian's show where we talked about the Real Housewives of Baton Rouge last week. We're not going there this week.
I missed that?
It's touchy.
Oh, it was good.
Did you really?
Yeah. We didn't go far enough, but it went pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk later about that.
Okay.
So Gordy Rush, Gordy, what is your role with Guaranty Media?
So I'm vice president and general manager, so over the top of all radio operations. I report to our president, Flynn Foster, who's overall Guaranty Corporation, which multifaceted, all sorts of diverse fields. And so been in this position since 2010. Before that, director of sales for a good, I've been at Guaranty since 1997.
And now you also, Gordy, you also have a show, right? You have a couple of different things.
Well, no, I do a podcast, right?
Okay.
Driven, and that's just kind of I always loved the leadership motivational field, and that's really a hobby. I don't make a buck off that show. It's something that I enjoy talking to people, and quite like yourself, it's a passion.
It's just fun.
It's passion. It's
fun.
fun, sure.
So, and by the way, if you want to listen to Driven, it's on the weekends.
Well, yeah, I know you mix it on Saturday. It's part of that 7 to 12, right?
Our Saturday night lineup kind of rotates.
Okay.
It's called Saturdays on Demand. It's a mix of all the different podcasts we have. So if Driven's fresh, I lead with Driven. If it's not, then I lead with Crime Stoppers, Clay Young, my show. I have a podcast called Cool Story Bro that pops in there sometimes.
So let me ask you this. And by the way, if you want to listen to the on demand, which is where I was going, guys, www.talk1073.com. It's hard not to put the point in there. 1073.com. Thank you. So one of the questions I wanted to ask both of you guys is Brian, I visibly see the heavy lifting, right?
Sure.
So Brian gets up early, and in fact, I will be candid, guys. So I'm on Brian's show on Wednesday, so I'll be on tomorrow at 6:35, and I've whined to Brian before that the Wednesdays are the toughest day of the week for me because I've got to get up early to get to the studio early to be on the show, and I want to give good material to him. But this dude is like doing heavy lifting every single day and very visibly, right?
Right.
So Brian, how are you juggling all that? How are you juggling everything? And don't tell me energy drinks.
Well, yeah, 5-hour energy shots are vital, which need to get sales to line up a sponsorship for that because they're getting expensive.
Get on that, Gordy.
We have free rain upstairs. You do know that.
Rain just isn't cutting it anymore. It's
that
so
scares
good.
me when rain's not cutting it.
Yeah, I know. It's I'm getting to a bad spot
300
because rain
milligrams
is
of
solid
caffeine.
and rain doesn't have that crash that some of the energy drinks have.
Okay.
And the flavors are fantastic. But yeah, if I'm hitting a rain in the midday, I'm golden. But I can't start with it.
I understand.
So no, as far as juggling is concerned, I have a fantastic wife.
That's a good answer. Smart answer. I like it. So, okay. Talk about your role, and Brian, we're going to stick with you for a minute. We're going to talk about your role with Guaranty Media during the COVID-19 crisis. You kind of became the point person to news, updates, everything COVID-19. Is that a fair statement?
Sure. Yeah, it is.
And not that other people weren't doing heavy lifting, but you were kind of the rock star on that. How is it, and I got asked this question about this topic this morning, in fact, at La Divina. Shout out to La Divina. How is it that for 3, 4, 5 weeks that was nonstop coverage? Like, how do you cover that nonstop for that amount of time?
Well, I mean, technically it's still going, but I had a lot of help.
Right.
I had a lot of help, and we brought in Richard Condon almost right away, and Rich and I just clicked on air, and it was just fantastic radio. It was next level stuff that I will never forget for the rest of my life. So it allowed me to do heavy lifting while he was initially supposed to be more along the lines of comic relief, but he stepped up into that role to where it was a genuine host-co-host situation. And we ran with it until, I guess, about a little over a week ago, but before he had to go back home to Eagle 98.1.
So he's back. I'm not going to see Rich tomorrow for legally.
Not unless you want to go down the hall.
Served. No,
but
I'm
he's going to hug you, and that's not social distancing.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to catch what Rich has.
Well,
if he has something. And look, so we're clear. Richard Condit doesn't have anything that we know of. Spoken like a lawyer. So, okay, let's change gears a little bit. So when the poop hit the fan with COVID-19, Gordy,
Right.
a lot of people had a lot of different responses. Talk to me a little bit about the Guaranty mindset, and because you guys did a lot of good. And look, this is not self-serving of me. I'm a contract radio show, so it's I'm not kissing the boss's butt, so to speak. Talk a little bit about the process of how did you guys figure out this is what Guaranty's role is going to be during this crisis?
Well, first off, our motto, if you would, or our goal, our calling is to serve others, and that's what we have this FCC license for. Safety was first. And so is obviously taking care of our workforce, and we were able to get everybody mobilized and what have you. But we also thought in serving the community and realizing that you're going to have a shifting of listening, shifting of consumption from car radio to mobile devices to streaming to podcasts to obviously Facebook Live. Felt that talk in particular needed to be here.
Right.
And go to an essential staff. And that we wanted to extend the coverage because so much at the time was being done from 11 to 1, a lot of the noon press conference. So we doubled up with Haldane. And then obviously when it was, you could listen to it, Trump, we took the president early before it just got out of hand. And so we felt like talk, in order to serve the community, needed to be here.
Right.
So ESPN's a different thing. It was sports, but sports is still news, right? And people are talking about it's not the essential per se. But we have a contract with CST. They were picking up another 2 hours. We have this fabulous facility. It's on a different floor in this building. So we opted to do talk in ESPN here to keep the video elements. And ESPN still also has a still engagement that talk does on the social media platforms. Our music station, Eagle and Tiger, were able to work remotely. And one of the big things, Richard became available because I didn't want to send Richard to Anna Betts' home every morning. I don't think there's a lot of, we could get into a lot of reasons, right?
There's an HR episode of Legally Served for you, Brian.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to comment
and candidly, and I will praise Richard.
Sure.
I think Richard wouldn't have been okay with that either. So it wasn't just an executive decision of we're not really going to put him in your home. It's kind of a
No, and I think a lot of people forget, and Haldane doesn't, but there are a lot of people don't realize during the Katrina, Hurricane Katrina time, Richard was over across the street at then Clear Channel, and he was a vital part of their coverage in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and he did an incredible job.
Right.
And so Richard's able to switch gears and get into that news hat, and obviously very opinionated, but still I think fits the format well. He's just been so successful on that morning show on Eagle. We put them back in studio. Was it last Monday or this Monday?
It was last Monday.
Last Monday. So we brought them back in as we eased things and put them back in studio.
So we talked about it with Michelle in the first segment about Michelle's role as a radio personality, as a host. In her view, her role is to be positive, not to really pick sides, not to be political. Brian, Richard, the talk folks, and again, I'm not, Jay Ducote's a little different because it's a different form of show. What was interesting to me was I think Brian and Richard did a very good job of walking the line of this is the news, this is stuff you need to know, and this is commentary.
Right.
And Brian, I don't think there was ever really, there were things that you disagreed with or agreed with that were going on, but I never really felt that there was a moment where you guys were being disrespectful to that balance of this is the stuff you need to know and this is our worldview. And we're giving you our worldview. And look, you're on 4 hours a day. That gets to be tough. That's a tough line to walk. Now, what I think is interesting is I enjoyed watching, and look, Brian will tell you, I know about as much about sports as I know about nuclear physics. I'm not a sports guy. I like watching sports. I'll go to a football game. I'll go to an LSU football game, and I'm a big basketball fan. But I don't know a lot about sports. And what was interesting to me was watching how the ESPN folks did content during this time period, which was a challenge, right? And I'm not talking watching Moscona, who I love to death, went to high school with Moscona, Catholic High, shout out Catholic High.
Oh, jeez.
I know where you went. I know where you went, Gordy.
I can't get away from
it. So I'm not talking about, watching Matt drink bourbon. I'm talking about producing content that was relevant, informative, because if you're a sports fanatic, what are you doing right now? Just salivating for what's coming in the next couple of months, right? I was at a LSU store next to La Divina, and I regret not knowing the name of it. I forget the name of it. Buying some LSU apparel, and I looked at the people in the store, and I'm like, "What's the next sport? Are we in baseball season right now? What are we doing?"
We're almost to baseball season right now, and simultaneously we're almost to basketball season as well. As Major League Baseball is going to start on July 1, basketball might actually start squeaking before that, possibly, to finish out the rest of the 19 to 20 NBA season. So, but in the meanwhile, it's been all about The Last Dance, man.
Right. So okay. Let's man. ESPN Radio, places I'll never go. Nice studio, by the
But
way.
it's fine. But one of the topics is what's going to happen with LSU. And forget about the score on the football field. I think LSU is going to play, but I'm talking about the economic impact, what it does for this community, what it does for my radio group, right? If they don't play, and so there are a lot of topics that are more, besides the X's and O's in actual sport. I'll go back and say sports is news, and there's been a lot to talk about, and guess what? There have been a lot of guests that have been very accessible.
Yes.
They've had nothing to do, right?
Well, and it's funny you say that, because one of the transitions I had to do was I like having guests in the studio, guys. In fact, it's a nice change to both have Brian as a guest and you as a guest and be able to look at people and talk to them. But one of the transitions I had was the deal was you can keep doing your show, Franz, but you got to do call-in. You can't have people in here, which is for their safety, your safety. Right. And it was remarkable that people, I think, that would not have normally wanted to be on,
no question,
that safety wall of, okay, well, we can't see you, so it's okay. And now, speaking of LSU, I had the opportunity, guys, of interviewing the folks, Dr. Sasha from LSU Online. I have interviewed Dr. Jim Henderson from the University of Louisiana Systems. Yes. Online learning, man. Online talking and learning. And it's interesting to me because I was talking to one of my sponsors to the show recently, and he was asking me, what do you see the future of your show with this new COVID-19? And I said, candidly, because of COVID-19, I've started using Zoom webinar technology to do interviews. In fact, after you guys today, this afternoon, I'm interviewing either Adam or Liz from BRAC on Zoom, and I'm going to air it digitally, and then I can save it and put it on YouTube and put it on the web and all that. And I told the sponsor, I said, but for this, I never would have done that. I mean, I have a camera and a microphone that allows me to interview people on site, but this whole remote interview process and the accessibility, which you mentioned earlier, is amazing. So I'm somewhat excited about the fact that provided that opportunity. That being said, let's talk about the rest of Guaranty. So besides just the radio, I mean, you guys are more than just a radio station, right?
Sure.
Folks don't always remember that. I mean, it's interesting to me. GatorWorks.
Absolutely.
What have the other entities in your wheelhouse been doing to kind of address what's going on?
Well, GatorWorks has been working remotely, and of course, I think when you look at one of the areas of advertising or marketing or media that probably suffered the least, and they've had their hits is digital online, because people have been at home. We've seen a lot of people that have wanted to freshen their websites. They realize, okay, I'm in the middle of this crisis, and the website, my website is not up to date, or it's not doing this or not doing that, not doing e-commerce. So they've really been busy through this transition. Of course, Jay Ducote, we've seen an uptick in his sauces and rubs and all the above. And on the flip side, Government Taco, unfortunately, was closed because of White Star Market, which opted to close down. Right. So he's in the process of trying to get that done. So we've seen, we have nursing assisted living, nursing homes. We have real estate development, a lot of the different businesses that have been impacted in different ways.
So let's talk Government Taco. Let's talk White Star. I knew, and I don't think this is inappropriate of me to talk about it because I love Jay. I knew that they were looking at a brick and mortar, independent from White Star. And, when he decided to say, hey, it's just not smart business to keep doing this, I wondered what he was going to do to kind of give back. And in our remaining time, what we haven't talked about that you guys have been really, really good about is you guys have been doing some stuff for the food bank, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are partnering with, GMFS to do an initiative where Guaranteed has put some money on the table.
We sure did. We put Banking for BR?
Banking on BR, and it's still open right now at talk1073.com if you want to donate. We had set up $25,000 from the Guaranty Foundation, $25,000 from GMFS Mortgage, and this was partnered up throughout Guaranty with GatorWorks. Of course, GMFS was in, Jay Ducote Hospitality was in on this, and we wanted to set up our two pairs of $25,000 for matching funds so we could raise $100,000 total. Blew right past that in the first week and a half. But it's still open, and in fact, if anybody wants to put up more matching funds, we'll go another round, I'm sure.
So let's go micro. Let's go micro before we go macro. How does it work?
Go to talk107.3.com.
Like you literally go to a page and you donate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go to
And
the
then
page, right.
and then basically you guys and GMFS Mortgage will match up to essentially
Have matched.
match.
Yeah, I need to put that. That's got to be past tense because Baton Rouge responded so quickly and so generously that we reached 100,000 in a week and a half.
We've had other partners jump in. I think Jim Perguson and Citizens Bank. We've had a lot of people get involved in this.
So going back to Jay, didn't Jay's sale of brisket
Yes.
in some way connect to this or connect to a
He
charity?
did for the first 2 weeks. It
Okay.
went to that, and then after that, I think he's chosen other charities too.
Right. So I mean, and look, and I think people lose sight of the fact that that's significant, right? It's not. Yeah, everybody's lending a hand and trying to help out, but you know, when we start talking about how people make their living and their rod and staff and deciding that, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to donate the money that I otherwise would be putting in my pocket to help others, that's significant. And I think one of the reasons we're talking about you guys, Guaranty and Jay, and what you guys are doing is because, you know, and look, Brian will tell you he's not comfortable talking about himself. I get the luxury of interviewing people that interview others, and not comfortable talking about himself and the things he's doing. It's kind of like Mark Vincent from Rebel Graphics, which I think we have a Rebel Graphics sign somewhere in here, or did we lose it?
No, it's tucked behind the
All
bookshelf.
right. Mark Vincent, great example of great Rebel Graphics, great entity that does phenomenal charity work, but doesn't want you to know that they do it.
Right.
Which is great, but I don't have to play by their rules, you know. So yeah, we have the Popeyes. The spicy will be ready in 10 to 15 minutes. I cannot tell you how it gets under my skin when you go to a business that has one job to do. Like it's like going to a burger joint. Yeah, we're out of burgers.
You see, I'm from New Orleans. I'm numb to it because that's been Popeyes. I'm used to it.
All right, so okay, let's in our remaining time. We got about how much time, Brian? We got 3 minutes. So what's on the horizon? So Brian, look, I don't want to talk about proprietary
Sure.
stuff, but Brian's now hosting an extra 2 hours every day.
Right.
Doesn't have hadn't come up with a name for his show yet.
Still?
It's so Brian. It's so Brian.
So we're going to do this organically, and I believe we could set up a bracket because if Jay could set up a beer bracket,
We
I
got
could set up
time.
a
I
bracket.
don't know. Brackets have been burnt out during this thing, though.
Well, but we never had a real March Madness. Anyway, I was taking a couple suggestions on Facebook Live. Got a couple really good ones. Breaking Point was my favorite one so far. But I want to do this organically to where the folks who listen get to vote and name the thing.
No,
name
I'm
the show.
all for that.
So.
You know, Francois, I'll tell you from where I've been, our staff, our leadership committee, is that you know we've been blessed enough to get the PPP, right? We were less than 500 people.
Shout out to PPP.
Okay, we're down with PPP. But the reality is that at some point here we start grinding. We have to get back to where we were. We were off to an incredible start in the first quarter, and the focus has been on optimizing our business to put us in the best position to be successful. And you know the way that I push back to our team, and we've had plenty of talks about it. What would you do if we started these radio stations today? If and sometimes you don't make changes
Right.
short term because you'll take a couple steps backwards. We already took a couple steps backwards. So it gives you a chance, I think, to self-scout, a chance to reflect on where you are and what do you want to do to put your best foot forward, you know, say July 1st once we go future.
So I am also a child of PPP money, whereas Geaux Rouge is a passion project for me, and I really don't live off of Geaux Rouge. The Borkhardt Law Firm, on the other hand, which is how I pay my mortgage, does require fuel. And I got to tell you, man, it's been a blessing for at least this month and last month to not have that problem.
Absolutely.
We got about a minute left. We've been talking to Gordy Rush and Brian Haldane. Brian, we scratched the surface, man. I feel like we're going to have to get deeper. There's layers here. You're like an onion.
I don't
There's
know
layers.
why. I'm a very boring person.
It's
When
okay.
Phase 1 was introduced, I was like, man, I can't wait to go to the gym, and literally nowhere else. Like, I started doing a little self-inventory, and I had nowhere to go. That's how boring. You don't want to know. You don't want to peel away layers of this onion. I'm here.
I got nothing on that. I got nothing. Folks, this is the Geaux Rouge Show. This is every week now.
This
every
is
week.
yoga
It's like-
Wednesday
yeah,
out on the lawn. If
Yeah.
you'd like to go downtown, you can come with me.
Yeah. So yoga on the lawn. You can work out and then drink beer and eat barbecue.
I
Makes
live.
sense to
That's
me.
it. I
Makes
just
sense
live.
to me,
Have
right?
a full brisket
Yeah.
right after. You're good.
www.gorouge.com. We'll be back next week. We've got next week will be about art. We're going to do art and culture next week. So we'll change gears a little bit. Not guarantee art and culture. So you've been listening to Franz Borkhardt, Brian Haldane, and Gordy Rush. Have a great week, guys.